There was a point in my life when I lost everything. I had to turn to God for help. I was fighting a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. My husband was having affairs. He wanted comfort from the stress of my illness, so he turned to other women. I lost my house, I lost my car, everything. So there was a point where I had to start over completely. And I was a single mom. I had 4 children relying on me. I didn't know my husband had remarried another woman while we were still married. I found the pictures on social media. The car got towed, the house had to sell because the banks were taking over. So I was in a desperate situation. I had to find work, and for that I would need a car. So the house sold, I got a little bit of money in my pocket, and I was making this work. I had turned to God for help in the past, and He was seeing me through. It was Jesus guiding me and keeping me strong and focused, and don't ever give up. So I kept plugging along. By miracle, I got a little rental house, and we had fresh start. I needed a car, so I found the cheapest car in my neighborhood, and my children and I walked over to pick it up. I paid for it with cash, and it was a piece of junk. It was a tiny little 4-seater. My son was 6 feet tall. I had to cram him in the back seat. And my kids still needed rides. I needed to get to school. And this little car was all we had. It was slowly starting to deteriorate. And the problem was the engine started giving out. We lived at the top of a hill, and the car couldn't make it all the way up the hill. I had to stop partway up, stop the car and restart it. I had to give it a little break because the engine couldn't handle it anymore. So I knew it wasn't going to last much longer. I took the car to the mechanic, and he said, "You've got a month tops, and this thing is not safe. You shouldn't be driving it." But it was all I had. I loved that little car. The problem was, it was Christmas time, and my mother was coming to visit. So that meant that I was going to have to make a big trip out to the airport to pick her up, and I was going to have to make it all the way back home again, up the hill, with my mother in the car. I prayed, "Please, God, I need help. This car is not safe. I can't make it up the hill without stopping the engine. The engine is giving out." The mechanics told me that I only had a month tops. And my son is 6 feet tall. It's really hard to cram him in the back seat. The windows leak. The car's wet. "Please help me." And I felt so much better after I asked for help. Anyway, we carried on. I made it to the airport to pick up my mother. God had a surprise for me. My mother got in the car, and she was mortified. She said, "I knew it. I had already decided to give you a car for Christmas. We're going straight to the dealership. I'm not driving in this thing with you." I was so surprised because my mother is a penny pincher. She's the most frugal woman on the earth. She grew up during World War II, and they had no money. So she had learned to save and save every penny. It was a miracle. God had done a miracle transformation through my mother. She wanted to buy me a car for Christmas, and she'd already decided before she'd even seen what I was driving. We went to the dealership, and she picked out a car that was safe, that I could fit my children in, that she felt comfortable driving in. She paid cash for this thing. It was a prayer answered. It was the best Christmas ever, and I learned God was listening. He heard me, and He understood my dilemma. I have to say that that was the start of a beautiful relationship between God and myself, and a level of trust that grew deeper and deeper.